It's Tennessee, it's Kentucky. Round one, the Vols blew it. What's in store for round two at Rupp?
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Happy Friday afternoon, and welcome into a little Locked On crossover. I am Eric Cain and Locked On Vols. That is Lance Dawe of Locked On Kentucky. I love your get-up, man. Way to be in the spirit for Tennessee, Kentucky tomorrow.
I just felt like it was appropriate, throw on a little officiating garb considering what happened in the first round in Knoxville. Just some very fascinating officiating. I feel like nobody better to represent this matchup than Doug Shows himself here today on the show. This should be fun.
Yeah, we're going to cross it over. We're going to look into the matchup for Tennessee and Kentucky. Look back a little bit at the round one meeting just a couple of weeks ago in Knoxville and how Tennessee blew that one. Kentucky's favored over our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook at the time of this recording by 1.5. And so we'll give some predictions and kind of outline this game as we go along for the next 15 minutes of the show. And this little bonus content of Locked On Vols and Locked On Kentucky is presented by the great people over at Mazda, where they put the drive into every detail, wins define the moment, putting in the work that defines you. Stay tuned later in the show for the moving the game forward. There's more to a Mazda because there is more to you. All right, Lance. So, Doug, sorry. That's going to take a minute. Tennessee, again, had that game in check, ready to roll, up 17 at one point in time in Knoxville, and just, you mentioned officiating. I mean, officiating was pathetic in that game. It was. But, you had a 17-point lead, and you blew it. And what a horrendous turnover in the final 30 seconds by Jacoby Gillespie. The foul on Ament, it was bad. But end of the day, Tennessee blew that one. What's your thoughts coming back home to Rupp and kind of this rematch of these two rivals?
So I said heading into that game on my show, and you can take this as a slide if you're a Tennessee fan. To be honest with you, I think it's just kind of fact at this point with how Mark Pope has played Barnes so far. I feel like this has been a consistent matchup issue for Tennessee as far as the way that Pope likes to stylistically match up with the Vols maybe being a little bit more lax and allowing their opponents to take some outside shots, really packing the paint and trying to play defense in a way that doesn't necessarily, for some reason, kind of keep Kentucky off balance in the first two games last year before the NCAA tournament. Obviously, we know how that game went, but in the first two games, Kentucky a clean 50% from three open looks. It kind of played into the way that they play basketball. And heading into this one in Knoxville, I said, look, Kentucky has the ability to do the same thing. Can they knock down the outside shots? They end up doing it in that rally, again, 17 down, which is something that Kentucky's kind of had to do at various points this season. So heading into that one, I felt like it was a game Kentucky could have had. And to be honest with you, Eric, heading into this one, I don't necessarily know if there's anything different to make me reconsider kind of where I'm leaning in this game as far as, okay, Kentucky found a way on the road, first time, knocked down outside shots. This time, both these teams are actually coming in playing pretty good basketball, but it's Rupp. You got the denim out. You've got Kentucky playing cohesively for the first time this season period, where they've had two games in a row where they've had complete games where they played well in the first and second half. So momentum-wise, I feel good. But at the same time, though, you do have to acknowledge Tennessee's playing some pretty good ball, 4 wins in a row at any of this one.
Yeah, Kentucky's won 7 of its last 8. Tennessee has won, 5 of its last 6, 4 straight, as you mentioned, dating back to that Kentucky loss in Knoxville. Tennessee's really kind of hit its stride here lately, and it started off hot, non-con, didn't have a big non-conference slate, but then you went to Vegas and you had a really nice win against Houston, really good win against Houston, and then the next day you fall to a short-handed Kansas club, the one that Rick Barnes said post-game, I don't know if we won the game last year with Zakiya, Ziegler, and Jemai Mashack, but we for sure wouldn't have lost this one to Kansas, and that's kind of been a theme throughout the year at some point in time. And then you went through that stretch. You lost 3 straight to Kansas, to Syracuse in a neutral site at Bridgestone Arena, and then Illinois. Actually, Illinois was in Nashville. Syracuse was in Syracuse. You lost 3 straight. You wasn't playing good basketball. Got a nice win over Louisville. That was a big-time win, nearly a 21-point win, actually. And then, you get an SEC play. You drop the opener at Arkansas, and it's just kind of back and forth. You get blown out on the road at Florida. You beat A&M in double overtime, which was good.
Great
and then you blow that game to Kentucky. But then since then, one on the road at Alabama, outlasted Georgia in overtime. That was good to see. One at home against Stephen Pearl and the Auburn Tigers. ran away in the end with 26 second half points for Nate Ament against Ole Miss. Tennessee's starting to hit its stride a little bit. Nate Ament is starting to come into his own. We'll talk about him more in just a moment. You mentioned Kentucky again playing good basketball, winners of 7 of the last 8. Started the season off, I believe, 0-4 maybe against ranked opponents. I think they're 3-5 against ranked opponents so far this year. What's been the biggest difference in Kentucky, the way it's changed its game or the way, I guess, it's executing here in the last month or so?
I think that the 3 major injuries that they've had to their starting lineup has kind of forced them to condense this rotation. And now that players that have been playing basically out of position for most of the season are now kind of forced into their roles more comfortably, I guess I should say, meaning like they know from here on out for the rest of the season, there's not going to be anybody coming back. So they're game planning for these kids to play where they're playing right now, most specifically Denzel Aberdeen at point guard. I would say that them being more comfortable in their role, knowing that the kids that are hurt are out for the rest of the year. And then also at the same time, I think just body language, mentality, and confidence, that's been shockingly a huge aspect of this run for Kentucky with this 7 of their last 8. After losing to Alabama, after losing to Missouri, you got to see it in a few different blowouts earlier this year, Michigan State, Gonzaga, in Nashville, the Vanderbilt game as well, where Kentucky just looks like from the jump, they don't really seem that interested in playing basketball, especially when it comes to their so-called leaders at times on this team, just really seeming uninterested in doing anything related to basketball on the floor. And then there are games where they look locked in mentally. They look prepared. Energy wise, they look ready to play defense. They look ready to rebound. They look ready to go out and transition. And during this stretch, they've also had the luxury of shooting the ball really well, which is something I didn't think that this club was capable of doing. So it's confidence in your shot. It's confidence in your teammates. It's a tight rotation that you're more comfortable with. It's things just sort of clicking for Kentucky with their back against the wall, which I guess you could say, hey, maybe they're peaking at the right time. But you also could ask the question, are they due to crash down back to earth because of just how unpredictable and inconsistent they've been? This has been a very Jekyll and Hyde type team. I'm sure you've heard that statement already, but it's been fun. But at least they're finding something here late in the year.
It's that January battle where you obviously want to play well and win every single game you go out there and play, or coach, and if you're Rick Barnes, but also it's that in the back of your mind, it's like, well, you don't want to be peaking. I'm not saying Tennessee's peaking, but it's like you don't want to be playing too well in the month of January because you need that for the end of February. You certainly need that for March. So as a fan, those internal battles a little bit are kind of funny. For Tennessee, it's you heard all the hype coming into the season, and you really weren't seeing that on a consistent basis the first month or month and a half of the year. That's Nate Ament. I mean, talking about, 5-star, Rick Barnes. Everybody, like Rick Barnes gets the rap of being just the old man. And like nobody has embraced the transfer portal era more, I think, than Rick Barnes. He loves it. You know why? Because Rick Barnes loves coaching old players. But Tennessee was always in it for Nate Ament. It felt like a time into his recruitment that they kind of fell out of it. But then he circled back and said, hey, I don't care what it costs. Let's go get that guy. I want to coach that guy. And you're seeing it here in the month of January. He said back in November, like, hey, he's going to be great. It might take him until around January to figure it out, but he's going to be great. And Nate Ament, the last 7 SEC games, he's been phenomenal. Last 6 games, he's averaging 23 points, career high 29 against Alabama a few weeks ago, 28 the other night, 26 in the second half. He's wanting the ball. He's calling for ISOs. He's getting to the line. His ability, like the other day against, I think it was Georgia, he was 4-16 from the field, but he was 12 of 15 from the line. His ability to get to the charity stripe and impact a game, he is playing lights out right now, and he is playing like that lottery pick that I believe he's going to be. So I think the key for Tennessee's turnaround here lately has been Nate Ament. Couple that with Jacoby Gillespie and everything he gives you on the offensive end. And then front court-wise, there's been a lot of inconsistencies. Jalen Carey, the Vanderbilt transfer, has been very inconsistent this year. Cade Phillips has been out, of course. There's been Felix Akpar has been banged up, and we'll see about his availability as the weekend goes along. JP Estrella shows up one day on the offensive end, doesn't show up. Like, there's been a lot of inconsistencies, but game in and game out, there's been somebody in that front court that steps up and kind of takes over. Jalen Carey, it was him against Auburn. It was JP Estrella against Georgia. I might be getting my games confused, but it's been a different guy every time to kind of play the third fiddle to Nate Ament and Jacoby Gillespie. So add all that together with Bishop Boswell, who I'm going to talk about here in a moment in segment number 2. Tennessee's playing some really, really good basketball, and it should be a great game in Rupp. Doug, I'll let you get a word in here in just a second. Tennessee and Kentucky, predictions, storylines, who's going to go off in this basketball game, all that and more. It's coming up next. We continue to cross over Locked On Vols and Locked On Kentucky. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. We're talking basketball here today, but the big game, Lance Dawe, is coming up on Sunday. One last kickoff, the final chance to get in on all the action for the NFL season before it comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel's making sure that you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, building one last same-game parlay, this is the game that everyone has been waiting for. Lance, kind of what's been your play in years past for the big game every single year? Mine, I'm a sucker. I love the prop bets. I think they're so funny. I think they're so unique. But you add some of those into some same game parlays, and it makes for an enjoyable time watching this game. Where obviously, there's a football game, but there's also so much else that's going on with it as well.
I think you're looking at two different things. Usually, I'm looking at first touchdown scores, and then possibly maybe what the Gatorade color is for the winning team, what they throw on the coach at the end. That's usually what I like to go to.
The over-under for the national anthem time. Love that as well. Perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, $5, get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com today to go ahead and get started. That is FanDuel.com today to go ahead and get started. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who show there's more to the score than just the score on the screen. This week on Tennessee's side, again, I'm going to go Nate Ament, because why not? I mean, the dude's averaging in his last 6 games 23 points. He's playing like that NBA lottery pick. He's confident. He's wanting the basketball. He truly is a difference maker, and times were tough there earlier in the SEC slate. Fans were all over him. I mean, it's wasted money. Why are you going to bring this guy in? And lottery pick who? And he's starting to show that he is the most dangerous freshman in the country. Nate Ament is my Mazda moving the game forward pick. What about on the Kentucky side?
Yeah, I know I've talked a little bit about Denzel Aberdeen and how good he's been and how he's kind of moved things forward, but I want to talk about Colin Chandler, who actually got that steal at the end of the Tennessee game, has been playing really clutch as of late for the Wildcats. Just really clutch plays at the end of a variety of wins so far. The turnaround fadeaway at the end of the Arkansas game, a couple of rainbow triples against Oklahoma to seal the deal, a rainbow triple against Ole Miss to seal the deal. I mean, he has just been the clutch player, so he's moving the game forward for the Cats so far.
Mazda puts the same passion in every single model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Tax season, everybody's worst time of the year, but it doesn't have to be this year with our friends over at TurboTax. With TurboTax service, full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, with no stress and no guesswork. Lance, you and I have talked about it in years past, man. Like, as we go along in this industry, our taxes used to be pretty simple because we didn't make a whole lot of money. But now we're getting a W-2 here, we're getting a 1099 here. There's so many different things being pulled us in different directions, and I couldn't do my taxes anymore. TurboTax helped me so much. I've used them in years past. I'm going to use them in the future. And, you can honestly just take your stuff to them, meet them in person. You can chat online as well, and then just say, hey, go do it. Not a worry in the world, and you can go about your day, and they'll handle your business. And I say business because it is your business. It is your money.
Yeah, absolutely. As things have kind of grown here, like exactly what you said, we've talked about it before. It's been really, really easy and comforting to just be able to go to TurboTax and just have them sort out literally everything for you. It's been pretty awesome, and I've been using them for several years now, and I intend on continuing to use them in the future.
You can as well. Get your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If your TurboTax expert did not file for you last year, all you got to do is file by February 28. Take taxes off your plate. Get back to real life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. That is TurboTax.local to book your appointment today. Locked On Vols meets Locked On Kentucky. I am Eric Cain, Lance Dawe in here. Tennessee at Kentucky at Rupp Arena. That is coming up Saturday. What is it, 8:30? It's a late game.
It's a late game.
Tennessee has played all these late games here lately. It's not been fair. There's not been, I know Tennessee-Kentucky last go around, I think was a noon game, but man, it's been late night. Should be a good one. It always is between these two teams. Who is your pick to click in this game if Kentucky's gonna sweep this regular season series?
If Kentucky is going to sweep this regular season series, I'm not going to pick SEC preseason player of the year Otega Oweh. Give me Denzel Aberdeen, who has been playing surprisingly well through the course of this season, and especially as of late as Kentucky's lead point guard, kind of a makeshift point guard, if you will, considering Kentucky doesn't have any other option at this point in the season. Not only has he been distributing the ball pretty decently as of late, he's also been knocking down some outside shots, which is the big thing for Kentucky, finding some spacing in this offense, some ability to create off the dribble, and that's what Aberdeen has provided. I would say that if Kentucky's going to find a way to win this game in Rupp, second time around, they're going to need to get another efficient outing from Aberdeen. If you recall, which I'm sure a lot of you Tennessee fans do, 22 points, 4 of 5 inside, 3 of 6 outside, 5 of 6 from the charity stripe. He kind of helped spark that comeback in the second half. I'd like to not get down 17 this time. Crazy thought, guys. Let's not create a massive deficit for us to have to claw out of at the beginning of the game. So if Kentucky's going to have a little bit of an easier time and find a way to win, give me the point guard that can find some inside-outside scoring and create for himself. I think that would be big.
Jacoby Gillespie scored 24 points in the first matchup, 17 from Nate Ament. A guy that I'm going to highlight here, though, is Bishop Boswell. And I mean, you're a basketball junkie, so you probably know all about Bishop Boswell, but his story's fantastic. Played high school basketball here in Knoxville, went to Tennessee, was a complete non-factor last year. Nobody was talking about him in the offseason. Nobody. I mean, nobody thought, like, he was in that starting lineup in the preseason exhibition against Duke, and we're all kind of like, okay, interesting. But he is the glue. He holds everything together. He does everything you want from a Rick Barnes guy. He's not as good defensively yet as Jemai Mashak was, but he's further along in his overall game than I think Jemai Mashak was at this point in their careers. He's only a sophomore. And man, when he missed a little bit of time earlier in the season, Tennessee looked different. When he's in foul trouble, Tennessee looks different. He plays good defense. He can bring the ball down the court. When Jacoby Gillespie had 3 fouls in the first half the other night, it was Bishop Boswell that went in and ran the point, and Tennessee had a really good, productive 8-minute stretch of basketball where there was no drop-off with your leading scorer in Jacoby Gillespie not out there on the court. But it's those hustle plays. It's those change of possessions. I mean, things that don't show up in the box score, and that's Bishop Boswell. Bishop Boswell in the first go-around, again, only 1 assist, 4 points. He only shot it 3 times. Since then, he's been more aggressive. He's been hunting down a shot a little bit, but he's been getting rebounds. He does, again, just a little bit of everything. I think Bishop Boswell is the key, not only in this game, but really for Tennessee moving forward, because at this point, you know what you're going to get from Nate Ament. Yeah. At this point, you know the good and the bad, what you're going to get from Jacoby Gillespie. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it feels like, you don't know who it's going to be, but someone's going to show up offensively in the front court for Tennessee. Where's the difference maker? I think that could be Bishop Boswell, and a guy that didn't necessarily have the game of his life the first go-around between these two teams. All right, Lance, you got Kentucky is favored by 1.5 points playing at home. It's the denim out, as you mentioned. How do you see this game going tomorrow night?
Yeah, so this kind of ties into what you're saying about Boswell here real quick. Something that I said in the first matchup, and I'll reiterate it here. Tennessee needs a third scoring option, a third consistent scoring option. You've already kind of talked about it already, but something that I noted about the Vols, and you saw it in the game that they played in Knoxville, it's Nate Ament, it's Jacoby Gillespie, and then outside of that, it's kind of a crapshoot night in and night out who you're going to get consistent production from. Somebody like Boswell could be absolutely huge in this game if they're going to stay afloat. Offensively, I think this Kentucky team, just mentality and energy wise, I think they're playing a little bit differently than maybe you saw in Knoxville, which could end up being a bad thing. It could end up being a good thing, depending on whether or not the boys in stripes show up and want to make this their game. I think that the way that I'm leaning in this one, it's very similar to the way that I've leaned for over a year now. I think that this is a stylistic mismatch for Rick Barnes. He is going to have to show something different. Look, you are now, 1-3 in the matchups? Obviously, the one win being the biggest one of them all. But you have to show something different if you're Barnes defensively in this one, to show that you are willing to actually not necessarily pack it in as aggressively as you have against Kentucky and get out to the perimeter, close out on these Kentucky players, because there's not a lot of drivers on this team. I'll go ahead and tell you that, outside of Otega Oweh. So if Tennessee does show a little bit of something differently defensively, I could definitely see this game going their way, because Kentucky, again, is so volatile, so unpredictable. They can get down and give up. You could see them down at 10 at halftime, and they might not come back out of the locker room. I truly don't know with this team, but if they continue to shoot the ball pretty decently as they have for several games in a row now, if Chandler continues to light it up as he has, if the momentum with the denim out and how this team is playing mentally right now kind of flows over to this one, I think Kentucky finds a way to win regardless. I think it's going to be a very close game, very competitive game. This should be a phenomenal one in Rupp. I'm going to take the Cats to win and cover that 1.5 point spread, but it's not going to be by much, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find any fault in picking Kentucky to win this game at home, seeing where the spread is, thanks to our friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook at 1.5. I get all that, knowing the record from Rick Barnes against Mark Pope, and as you mentioned, the one win is the biggest win, the one that counts. It was in the Sweet 16 last year, so I get all that. I don't know. I think Tennessee's playing different right now. I think Tennessee's playing with dare we say, a bit more swagger. I think Tennessee's biggest threat is feeling himself right now, and I think Tennessee's biggest threat is very confident right now, and that's Nate Ament. And if Nate Ament can take over the game, I mean, he's the best player on the court. Yep. I think you can beat anybody in the country. And so will that happen on Saturday? I don't know. We'll see. I think Tennessee, obviously, you figured some things out. You knew what is successful against this specific Kentucky team. You led by 17 at one point in time. Also, if you're Kentucky, you can say, you know what's successful against this Tennessee team because you erased a 17-point deficit with some help from the Stripes as well. I don't know. Give me Tennessee, obviously. I mean, I think the way Nate Ament's playing, Jacoby Gillespie, the way he can score, one of the best scorers, not only scores in the conference, but point guards from an assist perspective in the conference as well. Playing on the road, something in me just says, I mean, if they found a way to click against this team at one point in time, can you do it again based off how you've been playing the last month of the season? Give me Tennessee to win on the road. Give this record to go to 2-4. Tennessee will split the regular season series, and we will see what happens in the SEC tournament. And then who knows, maybe the NCAA tournament down the line. But no ifs, ands, buts about it, man. It's going to be a good one. Should be a great environment. And I'm excited to see what happens. Second round, Tennessee and Kentucky here in the regular season. All right, Lance, anything else coming up this weekend before Tennessee and Kentucky?
If you call me Lance one more time, I'm going to have to give you a tech. Okay. We can't have this. We can't have this. I should have said Don Daly because I think he was the lead official for that awful mess that we got to see in the first go of this game. But yeah, if Doug Shows is officiating this game tomorrow, just go ahead and start praying now because it might be an ugly one. So, I don't know if you guys saw it, by the way. 7 technicals from your boy Doug Shows in the Kentucky-Arkansas game. 7. You will get one like that. We will throw you out of here. So outside of the ball going on this weekend, man, I mean, this is it. This is the denim out. We are locked in. This is what's going on this Saturday, man. I'm fired up.
Oh, should be a good one, man. And yeah, everybody tunes in at home to watch the Ref Show. Everybody pays their hard-earned money to go to the arena to watch these guys get to work. I mean, it's amazing what they get to show us every single week. Hopefully, there won't be that big of a storyline in this one. That's Locked On Kentucky. We're Locked On Vols, and we'll have plenty of post-game coverage as well throughout the weekend and getting you set for next week's slate of games. This has been a Locked On Vols and Kentucky podcast edition here on A Crossover.